Hi there, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful bracelet with Swarovski crystal using a simple technique called stringing and with a design of symmetry. Let's get started. We will need stringing wires, tube beads, Swarovski crystals, the Squaredelles, the cube beads and the bicones. You will see all the specs on the description down below, and of course we need these bead spacers. And for a closure we're going to use the lobster clasp and some rings. Crimp cover and wire protector. For the tools we will need 2 pieces of the flat nose pliers, flush cutter, and also the crimping pliers. Now let's get started. Let's take the 2 pieces of stringing wires and we make sure that they're both aligned. I'd like to put a scotch tape on the other end to serve as a bead stopper. Now that we have set up that bead stopper on the other end, we can start stringing from the opposite end. Let's start with a barrel bead. So when you're stringing, make sure that the 2 wires get into the hole. Let's get the bicone bead. Again, 2 wires into the hole. And then we take another barrel bead. So the next beads will be the tube beads. You will need the 2 pieces for this one. Make sure that it's going to be 1 tube bead in each wire. So that will give you the effect of 2 tube beads on top of the other. So now that's the look that we're going for. Okay, and then we'll take the next bead, which is the barrel bead. The 2 wires into the hole. Next one is the bicone bead. Again, 2 wires into the hole. So the only time that you're going to use the wires separately, like going into a hole, is when you're doing the tube beads. So this is just a simple stringing pattern that you can use. So this is just an idea of how you can make a bracelet. You can use any beads that you like. Okay, and after the crystal, we take the flat bead spacer and then another crystal bead spacer. So all the information, the specs of these materials will be written down on the description of this video, and I can suggest where you can get them. So the next one is the Swarovski Squaredelle bead. And now we get to the cube bead. This beautiful crystal will be the focal point of our bracelet. You can use any color if you want. So at this point we are halfway through our bracelet with the following sequence: barrel bead, crystal, barrel bead, the tube beads, barrel bead, the bicone, flat bead spacer, then a flat crystal, and then the Squaredelle, and then the cube bead. So just remember this sequence, and then we're gonna do the same way but in a reverse mode from the cube bead. So this is where the idea of the symmetry comes in. So what's on the other side should be exactly the same as on the other side. So we'll just keep stringing here until we finish all the way down to the last bead. So there's a bracelet. Now we're done with most part of it. We just have to close both ends now. Now we need the crimp cover, and the wire protector. So first we're going to use the crimp. Make sure 2 wires go into the hole. Next is the wire protector. Again, 2 wires into the hole. Just follow the curve and make a loop to go into the next hole. So the wire protectors make a finished look on your bracelet. And when you're able to do the loop, you have to get those 2 wires back into the crimp. Push it in until you can pull 2 wires out from the bead, from the crimp bead. Now that you've made sure that those 2 wires are into the crimp, it's now time to secure it using your crimping pliers. Use that inner circle first to hold the wires, and then the outer circle to secure it. If you think it's still a little bit loose, get your flat nose pliers and press it to secure it even more. Now to trim off those excess wires, get your flush cutter and just trim it snugly until you don't see any excess wires popping up. Using your crimping pliers, pick up your crimp cover, and let's try to cover that crimp bead so that it will give a more finished look. Now that the crimp is nicely covered, you can now press it using your crimping plier to secure it. Now let's do the other end of the bracelet. Let's just repeat the same set of steps. First, the 2 wires go into the crimp, and then into the wire protector, then make a loop, and then back into the crimp. And here we go. Once you've made that loop and you've made the 2 wires back into that crimp, you just make the necessary adjustment. Make sure you pull the wires that it is snug to the closest bead so that they stay intact and the beads don't come shaky and loose. Now that you have that comfortable snug, it's time to seal the crimp using your crimping plier. Make the necessary adjustment if needed. Cut out any excess wires using your flush cutter. Now with your crimping plier, get that crimp cover and put it in place to cover that crimp. And then you press it on. So now our bracelet is taking shape very nicely. Now it's time to do the closure. Now with the flat nose pliers, get one of the split rings, open it up, make sure it's going forward and backward, opposite direction, not sideways when you open up a split ring. And hook it up on that one end and get the lobster clasp and close the split ring. Now the other end, we do the same. Get the split ring, open it up, hook it, and then close. And here is our beautiful bracelet. You can make variations of this bracelet using different colors or beads. It's pretty versatile with tube beads. If you like this project and tutorial, please like and subscribe. I hope it will inspire you on your next bracelet project. Happy crafting and see you next time!